So this is just a quick video on how I pack skydiving canopies. It is intended for people who understand how to pack a parachute but would like to improve their skills. So I have not included any of the basics like specifically how to flake, how to fold a pilot chute, or how to close the container. This is by no means the only way to pack a parachute, but I have just figured out what techniques works best for me and wanted to share them. So let's get started. So I'm just going to start by running up my lines to check if I put a step through in my canopy on landing. After I get the canopy up on my shoulders, I'm going to turn it 90 degrees to where I can reach all the nose cells. I'm going to count out my 9 cells. Now that I have all 9 cells in my left hand, I'm going to use my right hand to stretch out the rear risers as I give the canopy a flick. Okay, I've got all 9 cells in my left hand. Using my right to stretch out the risers. We're just going to give it a couple flicks. Tuck the nose between our legs. Now I flake between my line groups to ensure all my lines are in the center of the pack job, and then I pull down my slider. I use my foot to kick the tail up to my hands, and then my knees to keep the pack job tight while wrapping the tail around the canopy. This ensures that no brake lines are pulled around the canopy, potentially causing a line over malfunction. Now it's time to wrap the tail around the canopy and roll it. When I roll the tail, I use downward pressure with my right hand against my left hand as I roll. I use my hip to keep tension on the roll so that I don't lose it as I move my hands. I get it just tight enough to where the canopy starts to take shape, and then I get ready to lay it down. As I lay it down, I do my best to place it on the ground and not drop it or throw it. This keeps all the lines in the center of the canopy that you just worked so hard to flake and put there. Now that we got it laid down, it's the perfect opportunity to go sneak a mid-pack job beer. Beer. Notice how gently I lay down the canopy and then slide my right arm out to avoid disturbing the pack job. I also lightly bounce my lines in case they got messy when I laid the canopy down. To deflate the canopy, I put my hips on the warning label and gradually lay down more forward. I use my arms to get the last of the air out of the top of the canopy. I do this so that I do not disturb the lines by air trying to rush out in the middle of the pack job. This way it all goes to the top and only affects very little of the canopy that we're going to roll up anyway. I roll the top skin and start doing my reduction folds from my hips back up to my head. When doing our reduction folds or tucks, we always work from the warning label at the bottom to the bridle attachment point at the top to give our pack job kind of a cone shape. If you are packing a newer canopy, don't try to squeeze and force the air out. Just let it come out slow and gradually. All you're going to do is save a couple of seconds and ruin your pack job. Now that it's stacked, I hold the canopy with my chin and my chest and use both of my hands to slide the deployment bag underneath the canopy. I then use my forearms to keep it deflated while I wrap the bag around the canopy. I then stand up the deployment bag and tuck what's left of my tail into the middle of my pack job. I keep the canopy compressed in my left hand and use my right hand's length to determine my first fold. This is also about the length of the warning label. I then use the width of my hand for my second fold and roll the nose over. Now that we have it all the way in the bag, I'm going to grab my first rubber band and use my other hand to shield it from touching the nylon of the canopy. This can wear over time on your canopy and cause damage. Again, the rubber band never touches the nylon. I personally use the dragging method of stowing my lines, using the weight of the rig to keep my stows tight, but many choose to walk the D-bag up to the container to avoid dragging their container. Much like using thumbs to double stow rubber bands, dragging and walking the rig is totally of preference if you are packing indoors or have a drag mat, but I can't recommend dragging the rig if you are packing outside without one. It's kind of hard to explain, but to double stow my lines, I make the bite and then go around my thumb twice with the rubber band. There are numerous ways to double stow lines, but this is just the way that works best for me. I turn the light on so I can try to get a little bit better view, but it may still be hard to see my exact technique. I just make the bite in one hand, grab the rubber band with the other, and wrap it twice around the thumb holding the stow. Again, it's kind of hard to explain, but you should get the gist of it. Now I'm just going to finish up the line stows and it'll be ready to put in the container. I hope this video was able to answer some questions and serve as a reference for new packers. Please keep in mind this is my method, and you may find a different method that works much better for you personally. Don't be afraid to learn different ways to pack or experiment with different methods that yield the same results. Innovation is why we almost all now use Pro Pack method rather than the older, slower, and more room-consuming flat pack method. If you like this video and want to see more skydiving gear videos and basic gear tutorials, leave a like. If you have any questions about any of the techniques used in this video, leave a comment. Till next time, blue skies.